Alright, hello everyone. I've been meaning to do these for a while to create videos to go along with the lectures, and also since I am going to be kind of helping out more in fourth block, getting the material covered, I need to make sure that you see my face and there's somebody who's got deep content knowledge to lead you through World War One and all the information from here on out. So I'm going to try to make these 3 of them about every week. But let's go ahead and jump into it because I only have 15 minutes on this thing. World War One. We're going to take a look at the causes now. I know Mr. Munns had started taking a look at World War One's causes as Main, M-A-I-N, with militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism. That works. That's fine. I complicated it a little bit because we're taking a look at it through a U.S. history course. We need to get into why the U.S. joined. That is not in Maine. That just gets into why the war happened. So we're going to mess it up a little bit. We're going to add in a couple of things. I like the acronym ANIMALS with a Z at the end, and we'll cover that in a second. But let's go ahead and jump into it. The PowerPoint is not mine. I didn't have that much time on my hands, but it does a pretty good job, and we're going to be skipping through some of it, and we're going to be covering some of it a little bit more in depth. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Why in the world did this war happen? And it comes down to the big question is going to be, did 2 bullets kill 9 million people? Because 9 million battlefield deaths are going to result from World War I, and it all starts with 2 bullets. So let's get in there and test that theory. Alright, so different viewpoints on the war. We're not really going to do a whole lot with this, but it is kind of a family feud. The 2 sides are intertwined. The leader of Russia, Tsar Nicholas, and the leader of Germany, who's going to be on the other side of the war, Kaiser Wilhelm, are actually cousins. So it is kind of a family feud. You're going to have the fall of the eagles. Now the empires, the big empires of this war, are going to be defined by their eagles. The Austro-Hungarian eagle, the Germanic eagle, the Ottoman eagle. All of those empires fall. There's this idea that this war is going to be so terrible that it's going to end all wars, and we're going to make the world safe for democracy. We'll see how good we do with all that. Now, causes of the war is really what we're focusing in on today. The alliance system is going to be the first big thing. Right? From the 1860s on up, Europe is aligning itself. Now, some of these alliances are secret, so not everybody knows what's going on, but eventually, in the end, you're going to have 2 sides that have strong alliances. Britain, France, and Russia are going to be on one side. The Triple Entente, or the Triple Friendship. Right? That's a really nice name for a military organization. The Triple Friends. Sounds like a weird anime, whatever. But yeah, that's the name of their alliance. On the other side, you have the Triple Alliance. Now, this is really going to confuse you because we're going to call these guys the Triple Entente, the Allies, and these guys on the other side, since they're in the middle of Europe, we're going to call them the Central Powers. Originally, it's going to be Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, but Italy is going to flip sides. Italy is going to join the Allied powers, and the Ottoman Empire, modern-day Turkey, plus basically the entire Middle East, is going to join the Central Powers. These are the major players, and like I said, Tsar Nicholas over here and Wilhelm are actually cousins. Now, that doesn't explain why the war happens, but what's happening here is we're getting 2 major sides. And the idea is that if you have these 2 huge armies, are you really going to get into a war knowing that there's going to be 25 million people on the other side? Probably not. So there's going to be this idea that we're protecting ourselves and we're building these large armies so that nobody's going to take that first step and start a war. Yeah, that doesn't work out so well. But this is what it looks like. Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire. Central part of Europe, Central Powers. Russia's over here on the east. Great Britain, France, Italy are going to be here on the Western Front. Now, Let's take a look at some of the other cultures. So alliances right off the bat. They don't go through the animals like I do, so they put militarism in the next one, but those alliances are going to cause militarism. Right? These armies, these large alliances are going to need weapons. Right? So you're going to see the size of ships increase. You're going to see the mechanization of war increase. One of the major weapons in World War I is going to be the perfect example of the mechanization of war. What do I mean about the mechanization of war? We're taking machines and we're killing each other with them. The number one weapon used in World War I, machine gun. It says it right there in the name, machine gun. All right, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, like the assembly line. Same thing happening here. All right, one person pulls the trigger and the bullets just start flying. All right, they don't stop flying until somebody lets off that trigger. The size of these armies are going up too. Now, here's the thing. If you make a large army and you've spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, you've got to use that army. Right? You're going to use that army. Right? Other things that are happening as well as Britain and Germany are fighting over Africa. The Ottoman Empire, if you take a look at this map, Ottoman Empire is spread down into Saudi Arabia. They're challenging Britain in Saudi Arabia. France has got its colonies in Africa. Austria-Hungary really doesn't have major imperial territories. That's because they got a whole different problem we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the big thing here is that specifically Germany, Britain, and France are competing for territories around the world, but specifically Africa. There's going to be a lot of changes in Africa after World War I. And aggressive nationalism. And this is going to spark from a couple of things. Nationalism is two things. Two different terms. Both are equally applicable here. The first one is that a pride in your nation. That you're going to war to protect your nation. Your nation's number one. You're the best. And anybody who tries to challenge that has to be put back into line. Very aggressive. And it's going to lead to these alliances and this militarized way of life. It's going to fuel it, but it's also going to push it further and make it more dangerous, because if you think you're number one and somebody is challenging you, well, you're willing to push for that. Also, there's going to be some slights, some ancient rivalries going on here. Germany and France don't like each other. They fought before. The last war they fought was in the 1870s. France lost that war. And what's one of the things that happens when you lose a war? You lose territory. So there's territory that Germany has from France that the French people believe is theirs. They want it back. Germany isn't going to want to give it up. Now there's another different type of nationalism going on here too, and it really focuses on Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary is a country that should not be. Right, today, if you think of Austria-Hungary, there's two different countries, Austria and Hungary. So you got two different types of people in one country. It's more complex than that. Austria-Hungary is an empire, and within it, there's 10 different ethnic groups. It's like the junk drawer of Europe. And I don't mean it in a derogatory sense. I mean it in that every different nationality is represented in Austria-Hungary. You've got Austrians, you've got Hungarians, okay, that stands to reason, but you have Slovaks, you have Croats, you have Serbians, Montenegrins. You just got all these people in this one country. They're ethnically different, so they speak slightly different languages. They believe certain different things. You have some Muslim minorities in certain parts of Austria-Hungary. And they all believe they should have their own country, or that they should separate from Austria-Hungary and go to their mother country. And this is particularly strong right in this area, because you're going to have a city called Sarajevo, in present-day Bosnia. But it's majority Serb. And this little country right here is Serbia. They don't want to be part of Austria-Hungary. They want to be Serbian. And this is really, it all kicks off. Alright, so Pan-Slavism, this is what we're talking about. All these ethnic groups in this one little area. Alright, something's going to happen. And what is really going to happen is the spark is Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He is part of the royal family of Austria-Hungary. He is not the leader of Austria-Hungary. He is the leader's cousin. Now, he goes to Sarajevo on a mission to kind of foster goodwill. So he wants to project this friendly image. So to do that, he's going to reduce the guards that are protecting him. And instead of going in a covered car, he goes in basically a convertible, projecting a friendly image. So he's he's being driven in Sarajevo when another guy, a guy named Gavrilo Princip, he is going to assassinate Franz Ferdinand. Now, the assassination is actually a little bit more complex than what actually ends up happening. There's 7 assassins. Some are armed with bombs. Gavrilo Princip is armed with a pistol. The people throwing the bombs or the grenades forget that there's a fuse, so it blows up too late. A couple people are injured, but Franz Ferdinand escapes. The guy is supposed to commit suicide. He pops a cyanide pill, jumps into the river, thinking that he's either going to die of the cyanide or be drowned. The cyanide was old, so it just made him vomit. And then when he jumped in the river was only a couple inches deep. So he's caught. And it looks like Gavrilo Princip has missed his chance. So what do? Well, you go to have lunch, and he goes to the deli. He's eating a sandwich, and then all of a sudden, here comes Franz Ferdinand's car back towards him, pulls out his pistol, shoots Franz Ferdinand dead in the street. It's an act of terrorism. It really is. It's an act of terrorism, and the big thing here is Gavrilo Princip, he's a Serb. He wants Sarajevo to be part of Serbia. He's part of a gang or a group called the Black Hand Gang, and this is what they're doing. They're assassinating people. And he's doing this because he's got tuberculosis and he knows he's not going to survive much longer anyway. So that's why he's assassinating Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Now, what happens is Franz Ferdinand's family, the leaders of Austria-Hungary, demand Serbia turn over the Black Hand Gang and let them come into Serbia and wipe out any of the Black Hand Gang, basically inspect everything. Serbia says, okay, we'll help out, but you're not coming into our country and violating our rights as a sovereign nation. Once they do that, Serbia is ready to go to war, or Austria-Hungary is ready to go to war against Serbia. Serbia is protected by Russia, so when Austria-Hungary attacks Serbia, Russia gets involved. Well, Germany is pledged to protect Austria-Hungary, so they can't allow that to happen, so they mobilize against Russia, but they know that Russia has friends in France. So they've got to neutralize France. Right. They think they can take them out very quickly, so they come up with the Schlieffen Plan, which, if they attacked across this border here, France has got this huge fortress. You're not getting through there. But Belgium's friendly. Belgium's small. They're busy making chocolates. They don't see anything happening. And Germany punches right through Belgium. They go through there in one day, and they're right outside of Paris. The idea for the Germans is to capture Paris. They get very, very close. In a matter of about, I think it's 20 miles. They get close to Paris, but they don't punch through. And I'm about done with the 15 minutes. So I'm going to stop it here. We're going to pick up. So basically what we've explained so far is why World War I started. Now this is in 1914, in August of 1914, July and August of 1914. This does not explain why the U.S. gets involved in the war. A lot of people don't want us in the war, and they're going to try to keep us out of the war, but eventually we will get in here. So we're going to save the next episode to talk about that.